Hello, my name's Richard Bloom. I'm a hypnotherapist. I'm also a self-hypnosis trainer. I've been teaching and practicing self-hypnosis techniques for over 25 years. And today I'm going to continue with this series of videos. This is the third in the series, talking about self-hypnosis and how it can dramatically enhance techniques to help with motivation. So what I wanted to talk to you about today was the continuation of this video series. Let's just revise the other two videos quickly. So in video number 1, we talked all about the subconscious mind and how it works, how it is in fact the major part of your experience of life, and that your conscious mind is not really in charge of what you do at all. It only thinks you're in charge. But in fact, the real boss is your subconscious. And if your subconscious is frightened of something, there is no way you're going to want to do that in a hurry. You may be able to fight it for a while, but if your subconscious wants to do something, in the end, it will win. You can only see that. You can see that very clearly with people who are addicted to alcohol or eating or gambling. If their subconscious really needs something to cope with that emotional problem, nothing will stop them from doing it close to some major intervention. So if you can harness that incredible power in a positive way, as in towards motivation, then you can change the way in which you motivate yourself and be motivated every day, automatically just moving you forward. But let's break it down. So we're looking at using that amazing subconscious mind to develop a powerful underlying motivation to the things you want to do as opposed to the things you don't want to do. Self-hypnosis can be used to achieve these things. I run a 12-hour self-hypnosis training course, and during that course we often touch upon mindsets of motivation, and using some very powerful self-hypnosis techniques we're able to dramatically improve people's motivation day in, day out. So what are the basic techniques we use in self-hypnosis? Well, first of all, I take trainees into a deep state of relaxation. They're very peaceful, very relaxed, but very alert at the same time. And then we create a direct connection with their subconscious, where their subconscious answers back and they can talk directly to their subconscious, which is a very interesting experience when it happens for the first time. And very often people can't believe it's actually happening until it becomes the mundane and the normal for them to start talking to their subconscious, like I've been doing so for my own subconscious for over 25 years. And I can, for example, if I'm in a traffic jam, I could be queuing for 4 hours and getting very, very stressed, and decide to access my subconscious and switch off all of the stress and anxiety that's wound me up for the last 4 hours and relax. And it's not bothering me anymore, or not bothering me hardly at all, in fact. Or I could be sitting waiting to go into some sort of meeting or an interview, waiting in reception, and I'm getting stressed up and worried about the outcome of this meeting. I can just switch it off and walk in really calm, really focused, and exactly where I want to be in that mindset. And these are all the things you can do once you've conquered or trained up to do these self-hypnosis techniques. Let's look a little bit more about how this works. So we're accessing your own subconscious, and very often when we're doing something of motivation, we're accessing a very deep part of that person's subconscious that is blocking, stopping, inhibiting the process that we want to put in. For example, we want to move people from one type of motivation to another. Why would we want to do that? Well, there are two main types of motivation, and that's fear motivation, fear of failure, fear of not earning enough money, fear of not achieving your goals, fear of not supplying your client with enough, whatever it is that you supply them with. That's fear motivation, and it can cause massive injections of cortisol and adrenaline. Long exposure to those sorts of stress levels will, in the end, cause your body to experience harm. And we now know that stress can cause all sorts of problems, including cancer, heart attacks, all sorts of problems with your stomach, acid stomach, irritable bowel, and the list goes on and on. Almost 70% of ailments can be tracked down to its roots of some form of stress and anxiety. So What we want to do is move away from stress and anxiety based motivation, fear motivation, to another type of motivation. We want to move to positive motivation. I talked about this in the second video, where you're literally moving from a negative motivation to a positive motivation. Negative motivation is fear. Positive motivation is very much like a piece of metal being drawn to a magnet. You're drawn to your goal because you're so enthusiastic about it. You're just drawn to it. When you are positively motivated, no matter how bad things become, how often things go wrong, if you totally have completely internalized the belief that you will succeed somehow, nothing gets in your way. You just keep going and going and going. And we know that tenacity and focus are some of the number one reasons why people succeed. And that's why positive motivation will drive someone to achieving their goals far more, especially if it's a long-term goal, it's going to take a while to achieve, far more effectively. And at the end of it, they're going to feel really great rather than drained, exhausted, and possibly ill. However, moving from fear motivation to positive motivation can be quite a stressful experience in itself, because they've been living on stress and adrenaline and cortisol for so long. They don't really know how to experience really good positive motivation. And so again, we use these self-hypnosis techniques to let go of fear motivation and move on to positive motivation. Now, motivation, you can say there's motivation bubbles, because you could be positively motivated to do one part of your job, like, I don't know, get on stage and presenting to 1,000 people if that's the thing you like to do, and making them laugh. But the negative bit, organising transport, sorting out contracts and all that sort of stuff, and sorting out your tax, is going to be something you're not positively motivated to. So every job you do is going to have levels of positive motivation and negative motivation, sometimes at the same time. And what we want to do is to move as much as possible from the negative to the positive. And even if it was negative, we want that negativity to be dropped down to a minimum, so at least it's null. It's not actually making you feel negative or stressed out. It's just stuff you need to do, rather than you being drawn into that whole stress experience day after day. So let's break it down to 3 parts. So the 3 main things we use to focus on using self-hypnosis is to remove the fear of failure, let go of your fear of success, and create a 24-hour expectation to succeed. If you expect to succeed, no matter how bad things go, how frustrated you get, how many things go wrong, you know that somehow you'll get there. And we talked about this in the second video, about belief, about knowing, not knowing 5%, but knowing 100%, knowing as deeply as you know that when you drop a stone, it will fall from your hand to the ground. Knowing deep down and truly internalizing that knowing. And once you've internalized it and you feel it, then it's really powerful, deep motivation that will keep you moving forward when things get really tough. Sometimes you have to deal with frustrations, and sometimes we use the self-hypnosis techniques to deal with those frustrations, just in case you're driving, you want to move forward, but you're thwarted all the time. Sometimes you could get quite frustrated, but again, you can let those go with the self-hypnosis techniques. So again, another element of motivation. Extremely motivated people can get quite frustrated and can cause problems with their colleagues or families if they're stuck in that situation where they're hitting one wall after the other. Using these techniques, you can let go of the frustrations so you don't end up causing problems with other people. So let's summarize. We're moving from a type of fossil fuel motivation that burns you out and causes problems and stinks up the atmosphere and wears you out, and to positive motivation like a renewable fuel like electricity or a wind turbine fuel, which is renewable and can go on and on and on and doesn't cause long-term damage. Again, all the way through this, we use self-hypnosis techniques to break down every element. And say, for example, we're dealing with a fear of failure. We can break down that fear of failure into 10 parts. So if 10 is, I have a tremendously high level of fear of failure, and 0 is I have no fear of failure at all, we can then start working on that fear of failure and tracking back the real reasons why that fear of failure exists, and get it slowly from 10 down to 9, maybe down to 7, then down to 4, and keep clearing all of the reasons for that fear of failure until it's 0. And when it's 0, then we can start building positive motivations. And this is the last element which I'll be talking about today, is creating positive visualizations. Once you've let go of all the negative things that hold you back, then what you now need is to be able to see your goal as if it's already attained, as if it's already occurred. And if you feel that and know that and internalize that, nothing can stop you. And we use the 3 screens technique, where the one on the left is your goal as if it's already attained. You can see it already happening. For example, if I wanted to have one-to-one appointments, I'd want to see 2 or 3 weeks of appointments all booked up in advance, or a year's worth of training courses, training self-hypnosis courses would be my final goal. The middle part is the journey. How do I get there? What do I need to do to attain it? And the first screen is where I am now. So we look at these 3 screens and see how clear they are. Maybe the first screen is really clear because you know where you are. Maybe the middle screen is a bit blurry, and the last screen is very blurry. And so we keep removing all of the blocks until that screen on the left, the big screen on the left, your final goal, is HD razor sharp. Again, we'll be using these same techniques to do that. And when you can see that, then you can visualize that every day and check to see if you're motivated every day. And if you're not motivated, you can find out what's undermined you. Maybe you had an argument, maybe you had financial problems, maybe something was going on that's drawn away some of the energy and stopped you from really feeling focused again. You can get yourself back into that drive again. Obviously, just like everything, it takes practice. So on my course, we do a lot of practical work, a lot of hands-on work, where we go over and over these techniques, so that by the end of the course, you have some really good basics in place. If you want to know more about this 12-hour self-hypnosis course, which is broken down into 6 2-hour sessions, then go online onto the website rbhyp.com and send us an email, and we'll give you more information. There is a page all about the self-hypnosis course and how it works. Generally, I try and make sure that we fit around people's needs and requirements, but it depends on how many people are on the course. At the moment, they're running from 6:30 in the evening till 8:30 in the evening. So if you want to know a bit more, please don't hesitate to contact me, and we'll go through everything with you. Thank you for watching. Please click on the like and subscribe.
There are several ways that you can get in touch with Richard Bloom. We're on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. All you have to do is look for Richard Bloom Hypnotherapy. And if you happen to be watching on YouTube at the moment, check in the description box below. You'll find links and more information about us. And remember to visit rbhyp.com.